Last week, Governor Jongh sent a letter to the Senate indicating the approval of 4 bills. The governor's approval is expected to facilitate the progress on 4 major issues. The Louis E. Brown Public Housing Community on St. Croix completed phase 1 of their construction since 20+. These students are preparing a variety of cocktails, mixing it up to see if they have what it takes. Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Late last week, Governor Jongh sent a letter to Senate President Sean Michael Malone that indicated the approval of 4 bills. The governor's green light on these bills is expected to facilitate the progress on 4 major issues that have been in the public eye for some time. News 2's April Knight has details.
Governor Jongh Jr. has approved 4 bills forwarded by the members of the 30th legislature. One is Bill number 30-0272, which would bring the territory's election statutes into compliance with the Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absentee Voting Act. The governor, however, noted some concerns with the bill, including the way it limits how quickly the election systems may hold elections to fill a vacancy, but does not limit how late it may hold such elections. Another bill approved is Bill number 30-0273, which ratified the 4th Amendment and the Havenza Concession Agreement. The bill was approved by the Senate during its November 4th session and passed with a very narrow margin of 8-7. The bill supposedly allows Havenza to sell the refinery without allowing it to walk away from its legal and environmental obligations. According to the governor, this would allow his administration to move forward with mitigating the economic devastation on St. Croix caused by the closure of the Havenza refinery. The governor also approved Bill number 30-0274, which would allow the owners of Coral World to further the creation of an in-water dolphin facility. According to the governor, he acknowledges the potential harm the facility can do to the environment, but added that Coral World owners understand these concerns and are committed to maintaining the water quality at Water Bay. And finally, Bill number 30-0275, which allows urgent repairs to be made to the Central Line Road on St. John. The Central Line Road, a major roadway on St. John, has been in perilous condition since the onslaught of Tropical Storm Otto in 2010 and has been a cause for concern for many St. John residents. With this particular bill, the government would start making headways with urgent repairs. These 4 major issues have been in the public eye at one point or another. With the governor's approval of these 4 bills, work on these issues might significantly move forward. April Knight for News 2.
The governor's transmittal to the Senate President also acknowledged a resolution that honored and commended retired Judge Julio Brady for his outstanding service to the Virgin Islands community. Governor John P. DeYoung Jr. met recently with the new Chief Executive Officer of Carnival Corporation, Arnold Donald, and other officials of Carnival Cruise Lines to discuss the USVI market. The talks focused on upcoming season traffic, recent investments in onshore activities by the private sector, and the government's infrastructural improvements at Market Square, Long Bay, and Havenside areas, as well as planned improvements across downtown Charlotte-Amalie at Fort Christian. The officials also addressed port of call opportunities for the St. Croix district. Traffic enforcement officers on St. Croix are investigating a fatal vehicle accident which caused the death of a pedestrian who was crossing the street near Wynn Museum. The accident occurred at about 6:20 p.m. on November 10th. According to the preliminary traffic report, 48-year-old Paul Stanislaus of Estate Barron Spot parked his vehicle on the grass off the eastbound lane of the Queen Mary Highway and began to cross the street. A gray Ford Escape traveling west struck the victim, causing fatal injuries. Medical personnel on the scene said the victim had no vital signs. He was later pronounced dead. This case is under active investigation by the traffic enforcement officers. Meanwhile, a St. Croix man was arrested after he was identified as the person who fired several shots into the air on November 10th around 11:15 p.m. near the intersection of the Queen Mary Highway and the Estate Golden Grove Road. Robert P. Phillip, age 40, was arguing with another man in the area, and the two started fighting, according to the police report. At one point during the fight, Phillip drew his licensed firearm and fired several shots into the air. Phillip left the area after that. Witnesses told police Phillip was arguing with a female, and the male intervened. Police arrested Phillip near his home in Estate Smithfield and charged him with first-degree reckless endangerment. His bail was set at $10,000, and he was remanded to the Golden Grove facility. There's still no update on the fatal shooting of the Motor Vehicle Bureau employee, 33-year-old Akil Grigg, who was shot inside the inspector's lounge on November 8th. According to police, Grigg was involved in a confrontation with another male when he was shot, and witnesses said that the suspect exited the lounge, got into a BMW, and left the area. Major crime detectives are still investigating this case, and you can count on News2 to keep you updated. The Louis E. Brown Public Housing Community on St. Croix completed Phase 1 of their construction since 2010, and Phase 2 of the project is well on its way of completion. The newly built low-income housing is designed to house 40 senior citizens. News2's Shanika Robinson has details.
The Louis E. Brown Public Community on St. Croix has been housing families in their Phase 1 apartments since 2010 and is well on the way of unveiling their Phase 2 project for senior citizens.
Phase 1 was completed and the opening was in 2010, so we do have some vacant units, but those vacancies are very limited. I'm going to say we have somewhere between 7 and 10 right now, but they are filled as soon as they become vacant. So we're very excited about not only having the project, but having it continuously occupied at 90 to 95% continuously.
Phase 2, which is currently still under construction, will consist of 40 senior apartments upon completion.
Phase 2 will be finished in December. Actually, the grand opening will occur December 18th. We've already begun the planning for this celebration. Our plan is to have at least the first floor of the property occupied by that time. And again, this will be a 3-story elevated community, and we're very excited again about getting the folks moved in.
The Louis E. Brown Villas Public Housing Community was originally constructed in 1970. In 1989 and 1995, Hurricanes Hugo and Marilyn severely damaged the public housing community structure. And in 2009, the Virgin Islands Housing Authority demolished the damaged units in preparation for developing 244 new apartment homes for families and seniors. The Louis Brown staff will be hosting a series of workshops this week, which are geared towards encouraging senior citizens to apply for housing.
It would be from the 13th to the 15th. There's 2 different sessions, one at 9 o'clock, and it lasts for 3 hours, so from 9 to 12, and the other session would be from 1 to 5. We're asking everyone to bring in their documentation, such as their social security cards, birth certificates, whatever proof of income that they're currently receiving, and get the application process started.
All seniors are encouraged to attend the workshops and begin to apply for the Phase 2 villas.
Phase 2 is strictly for seniors, and it is a designated, by HUD, designated senior site. So will be a full-fledged 40-unit senior community for seniors only.
Shaniqua Robinson, News 2.
And for more information, feel free to call the Louis Brown Villas office. That number is 772-5688. Governor Jongh Jr. has nominated Philip Arcidi and Pastor Dexter Skeppel to sit on the Virgin Islands Government Hospital and Health Facilities Corporation District Governing Board for St. Croix. Now, once their nominations are approved by the legislature, Mr. Arcidi and Pastor Skeppel will serve 3-year terms on the board that oversees St. Croix's Waniflui Hospital and Medical Center. Mr. Arcidi has extensive experience in the financial management of hospitals, nursing homes, and outpatient facilities, and Pastor Skeppel is a dynamic and dedicated man, the founder of Speak the Word Ministries International and its many outreach programs for the community. According to Governor Jongh, both men have built organizations and have the skills to sustain them, and that discipline is needed to lead the talented men and women that are committed to providing health care in our community. Well, in the aftermath of Super Typhoon Haiyan, which hit the Philippines last week with the force of a Category 5 hurricane, survivors are in dire need of relief. The United States government, as well as Filipino-American communities, are putting together massive relief efforts to reach the needy. CBS News' Teresa Garcia reports from Los Angeles.
Survivors in hard-hit Tacloban plead for food and water and wait for help. The typhoon destroyed the area, leaving more than 600,000 people homeless.
It's so hard to be alone.
Some foreign doctors have arrived in the stricken area, but they are not nearly enough to meet the demand. At a nearby hospital, patients overwhelm the damaged facility.
We are admitting them as much as we can because we cannot refuse them.
Workers have begun the slow process of removing the dead, and food and medicine are starting to arrive. More supplies are on their way from the U.S. military.
Included in the shipment are enough emergency shelter materials and basic hygiene supplies to help 10,000 families.
Los Angeles is home to one of the largest Filipino communities in the United States. Many here are donating clothes and other goods to raise money to send to the victims.
Baby stuff, clothing, most of them are clothing.
Kabulteja of the Filipino Christian Church says his congregation is desperate to help.
It's about their being part of it. You can see the community being united.
But the scope of the disaster means it's a challenge to deliver the aid to those who so desperately need it. Teresa Garcia, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And in other news this morning, AT&T announced a billing relief for customers who are calling and texting family members and friends in the Philippines in the wake of Typhoon Haiyan, effective November 8th through November 30th for postpaid customers. During that time, customers will not be charged for international long-distance usage for calls placed from an AT&T wireless number in the U.S., Puerto Rico, and the USVI to the Philippines. Text messages to the Philippines originating from an AT&T wireless number in the U.S., Puerto Rico, and USVI. AT&T wireless customers can text AID to various codes. You can call for more information to give a $10 donation to help with the disaster support efforts in the area. Additionally, AT&T is making a $25,000 contribution to AmeriCares, which is an organization that has been providing medical and humanitarian aid to the Philippines for nearly 30 years. Keeping our eye on the economy, the legal battle between the world's largest smartphone makers continues. Lawyers for Apple and Samsung are choosing a jury in the federal case that will decide how much Apple owes Samsung for infringing on some of its patents. Estimates are as high as $1 billion. And the Thanksgiving shopping wars are heating up. Walmart now says it will open on Thanksgiving Day at 6 p.m., 2 hours earlier than last year. Kmart is, however, leading the pack by remaining open for 41 straight hours beginning at 6 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. The Dow and S&P down by 32, S&P 4, NASDAQ up. Coming up on News 2, a ceremony was held last Saturday to formally name the Friedenhoy Ballpark in honor of the late Ezra Fredericks, a man who made countless contributions. Details coming up next. Dr. Gilbert Sproul, chairman of the 713 St. John African Revolution Commemorative Committee, has issued a call for volunteers to assist in the presentation of this year's annual 1733 St. John African Revolution Commemoration, which is scheduled for November 29, 2013 on St. John. He is in need of people to help with pre-event marketing and outreach and to assist with on-site coordination of tours and activities on November 29th. There are many ways to assist, he says. Interested persons should attend an orientation session on Wednesday, November 13th at 6 p.m. at Fred's Restaurant in downtown Cruz Bay. Governor Jongh Jr. and the Department of Sports, Parks, and Recreation hosted a ceremony last Saturday, November 9th, to formally name the Friedenhoy Ballpark in honor of the late Ezra Fredericks. Saturday's ceremony gave the community the opportunity to reflect on Fredericks' countless contributions and his passion for working with children and the games of softball and baseball. Governor Jongh Jr. and the Department of Sports, Parks, and Recreation hosted a ceremony on Saturday, November 9th, to formally name the Friedenhoy Ballpark in honor of the late Ezra Fredericks.
My father, from all the readings, he was a humble man. Okay, he came from humble beginnings. He wasn't rich, family, we weren't rich, but he was rich with godly attributes. What I mean by that? Caring, nurturing, mentoring, teaching. Those are stuff that's needed today.
Many officials, family, and friends were in attendance. Speakers reflected on Fredericks' countless contributions, including former Senator Donald Cole, member of the 22nd Legislature, who spoke on behalf of the bill's sponsor, former Senator Judy Gomez.
Senator Gomez had a vision and recognized the contribution of Mr. Fredericks, and I was able to get the support of our colleagues. I too am a believer and a product of what the power of sports and being active can do to benefit and enhance one's contribution that Edgar Fredericks had made to these beloved Virgin Islands, in particular the island of St. Thomas. Ezra Fredericks was born on December 1st, 1924 on the island of St. Thomas to Charles and Amelia Fredericks. Decades ago in the early 60s, on this very field where we are gathered here today, goats, cow grazed these very grounds.
And he felt it necessary to engage the young people back in the 1960s, that they would have a recreational facility and not be disenfranchised.
And my father saw that, no, something has to be better for the kids of where? Southside. Because why should we have ballparks in Frenchtown, Griffith Park, McBean, every place besides Southside? So he said, no, I ain't gonna change that. And that's when he started all what you have read about getting this place prepared.
A ribbon-cutting ceremony was also held last week for the renovation of the Pine Peace basketball court on St. John. Well, in an effort to attract Virgin Islands college students back to the territory for employment opportunities, the International Capital and Management Company is hosting 2 recruitment events in Washington, D.C. this week to promote the company's Accelerated Career Development Program in St. Thomas. The events aimed at USVI students who are college, juniors, seniors, or have graduated from college within the past 2 years will be held on November 13th at Howard University's Blackburn University Center and on November 14th at the Melrose Hotel. The sessions will provide information about ICMC and its 2-year ACDP program, as well as give students the chance to meet other Virgin Islanders currently in the program. You can give them a call for more information. Bartenders clashed today at the Diageo USVI and Bellows International's annual Battle of the Bartenders. The event held at the Cellar Restaurant at Red Hook on St. Thomas tested the mixology skills of the 11 students in the Project Bartender program who showed off their original cocktails for judging.
This is my second time teaching this program. It's called Project Bartender, Learning Skills for Life with Diageo and Captain Morgan. It's a great program. We actually take locals, no bartending experience, and we train them in bartending as a vocation with the obvious goal to be getting them into the workplace. They work with me, they work with UVI Cell Department, and they also do internships with places like the Marriott, Belongo Bay, and the Ritz this year even. So they go out and they get this real-world experience that hopefully will help put them to work. They're judged today on the taste of the cocktail, the originality of the cocktail, appearance of the cocktail, personal interaction, and overall bartending skills. With the internships and people working with, they're doing a great job. They're really fitting well in there, with the other bartenders and that.
Well, congratulations to all the students. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.